Stick with me because we're going to talk about how to grow your own shiitake mushrooms at home. Shiitake mushrooms are one of the more expensive mushrooms to buy, so sometimes it's a little more economical to grow them at home. Fortunately, I ran into John MacLeod, who was teaching a mushroom class at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. And I got a little quick interview with him about home kits that he sells. So I bought one and tried it, and I'll also show you the results I got at the end of this.
Hey, John MacLeod of Catskill Fungi. Today we're going to be talking about shiitakes growing on sawdust blocks. So here we have a sawdust. We have sawdust that is being eaten by the root structure of fungi. The root structure of fungi is called mycelium, and this mycelium has spread through that sawdust and is ready to fruit fresh mushrooms. So by taking one of these bags, which you can get at catskillfungi.com, you poke holes in the bag and the shiitake mushrooms will fruit right out of the bag. You could also cut the top off of it and you'll have fresh mushrooms fruiting out the top. And this is something you can keep next to your sink in your house. Just as long as it's out of direct sunlight, you're in good shape. And you keep it moist, maybe spray with a spray bottle every day, every other day, just so the sawdust block doesn't dry out. You'll have fresh mushrooms fruiting in a matter of weeks. And it's really cool to watch them grow from the start and really blow up. It really gives you an appreciation and your family and the kids' appreciation for mushrooms and how they grow. And, you know, shortly enough, you'll have a shiitake. This one's dried up, and, you know, you can have a whole bunch of shiitakes growing in no time. And each block will probably fruit about a pound of fresh mushrooms, which is really great. Now, the other thing you can do with this sawdust block is you can inoculate logs with sawdust blocks. So that means you're taking a fresh cut log, you're drilling holes in it, and you're putting that sawdust mycelium in it. And you're covering it with wax. And there's a lot of resources out there to teach you how to do this. But from there, these logs will fruit fresh mushrooms over a number of years. So you can take a little bit of mycelium and make a lot of mushrooms. And this is very similar to a lot of other mushroom growing as well.
Could you do it dead logs and stumps? You don't do it on live trees, right?
You don't want to do it on live trees. You really want to do it on freshly cut trees. So, you know, you work with a forest management plan, or if you have a tree come down in a storm, it's best to inoculate within a month so that, you know, you don't have other competitor fungi kind of coming into that log.
And they'll fruit for 10, 15 years sometimes?
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the diameter of the log. If you're starting with stumps, it takes a long time for that root structure, for that mycelium to permeate through that whole stump. And the bigger the diameter of the stump, the longer it's going to take before you start seeing mushrooms. But once you start seeing mushrooms, that fungi has a great food source and will be fruiting for years to come. And it doesn't fruit year-round. It fruits when the temperature is right, when the humidity is right. You know, potentially after a rain, you'll see a lot of mushrooms pop out. That's a really interesting grow because it was grown with sunlight and in dry conditions, which is why it has that cracked cap look, not necessarily customary to a lot of shiitakes. But it's also prized in Japan and China to have that denko look, as they call it.
So here's the shiitake. Unfortunately, I went away on vacation, and when I came back, they were kind of too far gone, I think. But it did look like they grew really well. And these guys are huge up top. Maybe I can salvage them somehow. I'm going to try it. I clean them up and wash them real good. So this is just the first grow of it. Yeah, it looks like I got a... This would probably be delish, but it looks like I do got a little fungus up top. I'll probably have to leave that section for sure. I'll keep an eye on it. I just open these bags up and we'll see if they keep going. There's even more on the other side here through the bag, you can see. So this is my harvest of shiitake and also the oyster. And you can see it is a full colander. I'm going to wash it. Now, I let it go too long, So I have to, I had to cut out about a third of my crop because it was just gone woody, or there was questionable mold on one or two of them. So I cut them out. But I'm going to take you through this after I wash them out, and I'll cut any other suspicious parts out, and then I'll show you what I got. So here's what my shiitake looked like, cleaned up and edible. I cut away anything that looked suspicious at all. You can get an idea. Here's my hand. So you get an idea how big these are. I would say it was probably close to maybe 3/4 of a pound. But again, I lost probably a third to a half just because I was lazy and didn't get out and harvest them in time when I should have. So these are the salvageable ones. What's interesting though is if you look at these mushrooms, if you've never seen one that's ready to eat right off the where you cut, look how much water's in them. You can have water in these things if they're thick enough, and it's a completely different experience than store-bought mushrooms. You have to try them to understand it. They're stiff. They almost taste like a meat consistency or a shrimp consistency. Unfortunately, I wasn't as on top of this as I should have been, so I missed some of the mushrooms. So I can't really count what I got as a full yield. I'm guessing it would be somewhere about 1.5 to 2 pounds. I managed to get almost 1.5 pounds of salvageable ones that hadn't gone on too late. I think for the price, it's pretty much what you would spend in a store for 2 pounds of mushrooms, but the quality is insanely better. It is so good to have mushrooms right off, where you just cut them and throw them right in the pan and cook them. Definitely worth it. Also just fun to do if you have kids and you want to teach them about how mushrooms work. It's just fun to grow mushrooms. So I would definitely pick some up if you're thinking about doing it. The taste is incredible, especially if you're like a snobby chef kind of person. You'd probably really like the difference between fresh mushrooms and store-bought. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. Also, give this a thumbs up, a like, a share, or if you have something to add, remember to comment below. Thanks. Also, don't forget to stop by terranlupo.com. I have up videos that you can't see anywhere else. Currently, I have one on carnivorous plants and also how to make your own mead. All you have to do is go over and sign up at terranlupo.com, and all that's free.